Hello everybody. So we decided to change the orientation of the different furniture in the dorm room, and now the background isn't behind the bed anymore. You can still see half of it, so we're gonna go with that. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna remedy that, but for now, you're just gonna see half of it on that side for now. Anyway, though, the real point of the video, Moon Knight. Episode 3. It was epic, so let's talk about it. So, I definitely think that this one was a really good episode. I honestly think it might be my new favorite. It's still competing with the first episode. Definitely the second episode is I would say is the worst one so far. It's not bad by any means. I still really love the second episode, but I just think that the second episode was the least good of the the worst of the best in these three episodes. So yeah, I think that this third one is competing for my favorite with the first one. It might be my favorite because of the kind of Moon Knight fight that we got towards the end. That was definitely, it gave me exactly what I've been wanting from Moon Knight, from, the Moon Knight action, since we haven't really gotten it that much up to that point. We just got the quick thing at the end of the first episode, and then, a little bit of a longer thing, but still pretty quick at the end of the second episode, where he's running from the jackal, and then he ends up killing the jackal. But, this one was definitely, cool, fighting, beating up a bunch of guys. It went on for a good amount of time. It was definitely, what I've been wanting from the Moon Knight in terms of, Moon Knight action when he's in the suit and stuff. So I think because of that and some other things throughout the episode, I think this has been elevated to my favorite episode. The first episode is kind of become my second favorite at this point, but I think it's still kind of competing for first place with it. But I think overall, it was so cool to see the roles reversed this episode, with Mark being in control mostly and Steven being in the mirrors. I think that worked nicely, and especially at the beginning, when they're having the blackouts happen, and at first you think it's Steven taking control, but you kind of quickly realize it's not Steven, because the guys are afraid of him, and you're like, they wouldn't really be afraid of Steven. Whatever Steven would do, I don't think they'd be afraid of whatever he did. So you're kind of maybe it wasn't Steven. But I think they play it nicely to lead you to believe it's Steven at first, because they show him in the mirror before it happens, and then he's going to the airport, so you're like, okay, so Steven is just trying to fly out of there. He doesn't want any part of this, so he's just trying to go to the airport to leave. But that's obviously not the case. There's obviously some other personality. I know there's a Jake personality that's supposed to be there. So I assume that's what they're setting up. And I assume that next episode, whenever he wakes up, because with what happened at the end of this episode, he went unconscious. So now I'm assuming next episode, whenever he wakes up, he won't be Mark or Steven. It'll be Jake, or whatever this new personality is. So that's going to be cool, and it's going to be cool to see what his whole deal is. It seems like he's much more ruthless and violent than even Mark, because, based off of what we see happen in these blackout periods, when, that's just the second one, when he, when Mark wakes up, and then, he stabbed this guy, and he's there's bloody around him, and it's it definitely seems even Mark is whoa, this wasn't good. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what Jake's whole thing is, why he is so much more violent and stuff than even Mark. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his whole deal is, but yeah, overall I think it was just really fun to have these blackouts happen again in this episode, but with Mark's perspective this time, and it not be, of course, Steven coming through, but some other personality that they're setting up. And I kind of appreciate that they didn't pay it off at the end of this episode, that they're kind of setting it up to be paid off in a future episode. I kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, I kind of wish that they had, paid it off here and had the episode end with him being like, I'm Jake, or something like that. That would have been cool, but we'll get that probably down the line, maybe next episode, maybe even further, I don't know, but definitely setting something up. That's going to be interesting to see. But then I guess the next thing that happens in this episode is the gods meeting. Konshu makes an eclipse happen to get the gods' attention, and so they all meet. They bring their avatars to this meeting place to see like what's going on, and then Konshu's trying to get them to realize that Harrow's doing something bad and to judge him, and they're kind of like, yeah, he doesn't seem like he's being that big of a problem. He hasn't done anything yet. I kind of, I don't think this is really that big of a deal, Kanchu. So, yeah, we'll just leave. And they also said that they had vowed to not interfere with human affairs, which for some reason sounds very familiar. But I can't put my finger on it. Also, once again, great acting, phenomenal acting on Oscar Isaac's part in this scene when he's, when Kanchu's talking through him and, like, kind of going back and forth between Konshu talking and then, like, going back to Mark and him being like, what the heck was that? I think he did that perfectly. And then, of course, later on in the episode when he gives control back to Steven and, he does that, he does that transition from Mark to Steven. That is amazing. Just like this very subtle shift in his facial expressions shows you, like, he just went from Mark to Steven. Even before Steven talks and you hear his accent, even before that, just from the face, just from the change of his face, he had shifted personalities. So, yeah, Oscar Isaac, yeah, again, phenomenal job with his acting in this show. He's just knocking it out of the park. Anyway, though, jumping back to the gods meeting, so like I said, they're like, yeah, it doesn't seem like that big of a problem, we're just gonna go. But of course, there's another way to do what they're trying to do. There's this tomb, Sensu's tomb, that has this, that shows the constellation to show the coordinates of where Amit's tomb is, and so, they have to go find that, and apparently Layla has connections in the black market, and so Mark has the team up with her, and the guy who they go meet up with, who has Sensu's tomb, he says something about Madripoor, something happening in Madripoor. I don't remember what he said, but it was just cool that they mentioned Madripoor, since that's from Falcon and Winter Soldier. It is cool to see all things, everything being connected and stuff, just to have a little Easter egg like that. It's fun. And eventually, Moon Knight action breaks out. Again, like I said earlier, this is definitely exactly what I've been wanting from this show in terms of Moon Knight action. It was epic. It was really fun to see him just beating up a bunch of guys. It was fun, and I love that moment when Steven takes control for a second, and you see the Mr. Knight suit come back, and that was hilarious. Because he's of course trying to settle this non-violently, and that he completely fails at that, and he gives the body back to Mark almost immediately. That was a fun moment there. It's fun to see like the Mr. Knight suit come back into play whenever Steven is in control. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, that whole action sequence was amazing. Once again, everything I've wanted from Moon Knight action in this show, they finally gave it to me. Oh yeah, and also, earlier in the episode, towards the beginning of it, when Mark is going after those guys, he's trying to talk to one of them about Amit's tomb, and he has to like fight the three guys who had killed the guy he was going to talk to on the roof. That was a cool fight scene, and it was cool to see like what Mark can do on his own, without the Moon Knight suit and everything. Like just seeing Mark, what Mark can do. Yeah, it was just cool to see Mark fighting on his own. It was cool. But anyway, jumping forward to the end of the episode, they're trying to figure out the constellation, and Mark has to give the body back to Steven because Steven can figure it all out. Again, the transformation moment there, amazing. But yeah, so they figure it out. But the issue is that this is based off of the constellation, the stars' positions 2,000 years ago, and they have shifted a bit since then, and so it's not going to give exactly the coordinates that it would be today. And so apparently Konshu remembers that night, so he can turn back the stars to where they were on the night that this thing was made, and that was really cool. Yeah, that was so epic to see them. He has to have Steven do it also, and we get to see the Mr. Knight suit return once again. It's cool that that's Steven's suit. I think I said that before, but it's cool that it's Steven's suit whenever he's whenever he summons a suit, it's that one, but whenever Mark summons a suit, it's the classic Moon Knight one. That's cool. But yeah, so he has Steven help him shift or move the stars back to where they were that night. Epic moment there. Very. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, imagine like seeing that, like, that would. I feel like that would make you dizzy. I kind of was getting a bit dizzy just watching it on there and just thinking about it. Like, it was cool though. So epic seeing him move the stars back, the stars spinning around. Very visually awesome. But anyway, because Kanchu is messing with the sky again, the gods imprison him into this stone statue thing, and now Kanchu's imprisoned. He doesn't have his powers. I guess Mark and Steven don't have their powers anymore either, and it's going to be interesting to see, how this plays into it. I feel like this can't be resolved in the next episode. I feel like it needs to not get resolved until, like, the final episode. But then at the same time, we don't get Moon Knight stuff until the final episode. That's kind of sad. Like, this is going to be, like, the last... Like, this episode was a cool Moon Knight moment. Like, again, like I said, the action sequence, it was everything I've wanted so far. But at the same time, it's like, this is going to be the final, like, the last thing we get until the finale. I don't know. I don't know if it was that good for me to, be okay with waiting 3 weeks to get another awesome Moon Knight thing. Of course, I don't know how it's going to work. They might even resolve it at the end of the next episode. Who even knows? I feel like that would be kind of a cheap move to make, to have it resolved that quickly. Actually, what I'm predicting is going to happen is that next episode will kind of show his origin story a bit, Moon Knight's origin story, how he met Konshu, since now he's in prison. We kind of are going to go back and kind of see how they met and everything, get their backstory, and get the origin story of Moon Knight, and maybe there we'll get some Moon Knight action, so we could have it even though he doesn't really have his powers anymore. Yeah, maybe we'll, like, save Konshu at the end, or maybe the 5th episode is saving Konshu, and then 6th one is stopping whatever Hera was supposed to do. Who knows? It'll be cool, no matter what happens, whatever they do. I think this is an amazing show. Still very much enjoying it. I think this episode was amazing, and I cannot wait to see what happens next, where it goes further, and get more Moon Knight action. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the 3rd episode of Moon Knight. Please comment below yours. Remember to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe check out some of my other videos. And with that said, that's a wrap.